got a little bit of this and a little bit of that, and I just was involved in things that I like to do.
Yeah, that's what's like. Hey everyone.
Hi everybody.
I'm Justice Dove.
I'm Anthony Dove Jr.
And we are going to be incoming medical students in the fall. And we decided that we would, kind of sit with y'all and talk about our process. And hopefully to encourage y'all not to give up. Getting into medical school is not easy. It's a very tedious process. And so we're going to come around and just talk to y'all a little bit about that. So, babe, tell everyone, why medicine?
I asked that question so much.
Not your medical interview response, but a genuine response.
The real response?
The real response, not the medical interview, which is probably,
it's still similar.
Right.
It's still similar. That response is still similar. It's just not as, I guess you would say professional more so. It's not
brushed up.
It's not all brushed up. But the real response really is, I'm a Christian, and that I think that Jesus was a healer, and I want to be more like Jesus, so I want to heal people, and I also want to be able to know, particularly, how to be able to save my family. If something were to ever happen to them, I could be able to know what's going on. So it's kind of like a mix of those two things. So really being able to save and heal my community. So, which is similar to my med school answer, which was, I wanted to be able to master the craft and art and medicine and lower health disparities in different rural populations. Still very similar, but I just, since this is not a medical school interview, I can be more specific about things.
So when I heard you talking, I'm hearing it's really just going to be a tool in your tool box that you can utilize.
Yeah.
Yeah.
A toolbox. Yeah. Tool in my toolbox. That's basically it. It's a skill I wanted to just acquire in my lifetime. I feel like why not just go ahead and get that? I think that's going to be handy.
And I want to also preface y'all, he's really good in science. So between him wanting to be more like Jesus, him wanting to be able to help his family, he also has the knowledge background and is able to, take in the knowledge that's needed to be a doctor. Before I give my reasoning for medicine, can you explain why what you just said wouldn't be something that you would say in a medical school interview?
Because it's not really what would you say? It's not a secret that generally a lot of people in the medical community, they're not really religious, and they generally say, you can do whatever you want, but I try to steer away from going too deep into talking about religion during my medical school interview, because depending on who you get, you don't know who you might get. And that can be a complete hit or miss, and just you don't want to end up messing your chances of getting into school up because you have that one person out of 10. Maybe you have that one interviewer who the moment they find out that you're Christian, or let's say it wasn't because you're Christian, let's say Muslim or some other religious denomination, they find out you're a part of that. They're already using their biases against you, and they're like, I don't like this guy, I don't like this girl. So it was really to help protect myself away from discrimination. Someone who would maybe, I hate to say it, but have to discriminate against someone who is a religious believer, a religious follower of God. I want to prevent myself from getting in that situation, so to speak.
And to be honest, being a Christian, there is some privilege with that, because let's say you are Muslim and you choose to wear your head wrap, you can't hide from that. So, and even to take it a step further, beyond possibly, meeting someone who may have bias when it comes to religion, we were always told whatever you bring up in your interview is fair game. Yeah. And so if you start bringing up that you're religious, and then they can give you ethical dilemmas that will go.
Ethical dilemma questions that it's just depending on, you never know what might go with what. I've heard stories. And this is
Horror
horror stories of actual medical students that I've talked to, where they've said that the interviewer somehow got wind that they was Christian or Muslim or Jewish or something, and it's like the entire interview completely shifted. Like
away
everything
from
just
the
shifted.
normal interview questions,
just
to
a normal
being
interview.
Ethical questions.
It's just being about, okay, why do you want to be a doctor? How will you help our school? Where do you see yourself as a physician 10 years from now? To like half the interview is talking about your religion, and it's like, okay, can we get back to
the
reason why I'm here to interview?
Right.
So just to prevent that from even happening and going down that rabbit hole, I didn't even mention that. So.
That's good. That's good. The reason why I'm interested in medicine, it's multiple things. My mom was always in the healthcare field. She's a pharmacist, and watching her being in the healthcare field really drawn me to it. I did a lot of research on different types of practitioners. So I knew I wanted to work with patients. I've always liked talking to people on one-on-one. Maybe not so much in a crowd, but one-on-one settings. And so being able to do that every day with my job and every day being different, I was like, okay, I'm gonna like that. Did my research. I looked into physician's assistants, nurse practitioners, nurse anesthetists. I looked into even, there's a field, they get paid bank, where they just help with the perfusions during heart surgeries. I forgot what they were called. They get paid a lot, and it's not that much extra schooling. It's like basically doing PA. And it's just doctor hits every time.
I know what you're talking about. I can't think of the name.
I can't think of it either.
Is it a cardiac perfusion?
Yeah, that's it. I even looked into that. Cause I was like, I know I want to deal with patients. I know I want to, if I'm going to do this extra education, I want to get paid for it. So it's like, what can I do where I feel like, I'm getting the most bang for my buck. I'm paying all this money to be educated, and I'm going to get the money back to pay for my education on top of being able to work with patients. And just every time doctor hit, the master of your craft, all that great stuff, it just really aligns with what I want to do. And then my educational background is in public health. I have my master's in public health. And just, if I'm jumping into my next question, but why DO? DO, in the way that they not only train you, but what their tenets are, perfectly aligned with my education in public health. And like Anthony said, he's religious. I'm religious as well. And so being able to treat a person as a whole person, incorporating that spirituality, if needed, I will have the tools to be able to do that, to be able to bring it up to a patient and help them incorporate it in any way, whether that's Christianity or Judaism or Muslim, whatever their religion belief or spiritual belief is, I will be able to kind of walk them through that and see how that works. So that's why, Dio. I want to ask you, why did you decide to go the osteopathic route? And you can be as honest as you want to be.
For me, it was in particular to, I do like to use my hands and stuff. They do a lot of manipulations with the body. I definitely started to see when I was in the medical field as a phlebotomist, I started to see that that stuff that DOs was talking about, it is very prevalent. So just that alone, and then I feel like if they learn everything that an MD learns, but they have additional studies, I feel why not have that extra tool in my toolbox, so to speak. I mean, I'd rather to have more than enough than not enough, as you guess you could say.
Yeah, that's good. So then, what did you do to get into med school? Because I'm pretty sure that's what y'all all are on our channel is like, how did y'all do that? So what was the process like for you?
I went to ECU for undergrad. So I went there for biology, and I was pre-med. While I was there, I did things like volunteering as an organic tutor, chemistry tutor. I volunteered with like some of the youth high schools and middle schools in the area. My freshman year, I remember I did a volunteering at the emergency department back at home. So I did a lot of volunteering. It wasn't all specifically medical. I think I only volunteered medically speaking when I was in college, that is, my freshman year, and the rest of my volunteering was like academic based or community service based, like with my fraternity. And I actually ended up joining the fraternity, Phi Beta Sigma. And so basically I did volunteering. I always made sure that I put my schooling first. That is one thing I did, is you got to put your schooling first. For example, I was I originally wanted to play football when I got to college, but then when I realized the athletes, and I commend them for being able to do it, but it takes a lot of time and extra commitment on top of being a student to be able to be a student athlete. And it's just me, I wasn't ready to give that particular commitment. I didn't want there to ever be a time where I felt I didn't do good enough on the test because I had to go and do an extra practice or something. I don't know. I was watching game film, trying to prepare or something like that. I mean, there's some people out there who they're athletes. They go out, they become physicians and lawyers and business owners and all that stuff, and that's phenomenal, good for them. But that's not me. So I know what I can handle, and I was like, I can't handle that because I made good grades, but I put a lot of time into doing that. Like, I had to be able to study when I wanted to study, and when I'm done, I'm done. For example, I may study for a test, maybe that whole 2 weeks, but I would never pull all-nighters. Mm-hmm. But I feel like maybe if I was an athlete, then I would have possibly had to do all-nighters. And me, I do poorly on a test when I do an all-night. Get there is being able to put my grades first. I always put my schooling first. And I always made sure that I had time for my schooling. Everything else fell around that. So yeah, I didn't do as much volunteering in medically speaking, but I made sure that I kind of supplemented it with other things. That's right. I did shadowing.
And you were a vice president.
I did shadowing. Oh yeah, wow, I did do a couple of things.
Yeah.
I did shadowing. I shadowed a couple of physicians my sophomore year, and then I was the vice president of the Circle K Club at ECU. It's a community service club. I was vice president there my senior year. And so yeah, I was pretty involved, I'd say. It wasn't like one specific thing I did.
Yeah, that's what's like at the end of the day, everything he did, they aligned with each other. It did tell a story about Anthony. At the end of the day, he wants to serve that underserved. Like, you gotta be more specific. Mm-hmm. Those students that he was helping were first generation, would have been first generation college students.
Right.
And he did that not only throughout the school years, but over the summer too, babe.
Yeah.
So
yeah.
It told a story.
Yeah. And then I was also a resident advisor.
Oh yeah, we forgot.
And then not only I was a resident advisor, but I also was like, I was working at Food Lines. I kind of was a little bit doing too much, really. Definitely time management too, because if you don't manage your time properly, you're gonna be all over the place. I guess for me, everything that I did, if I needed to kind of pull back some, I could. But I just felt like if I went with the athletic route, I feel like I would let my team down if I say, yeah, guys, I'm sorry, but I ain't gonna be able to. I'm not gonna be able to hit them drills with y'all this week as much because I got the organic test coming up. So I just didn't want to put myself in that situation where I couldn't put my schooling first. So definitely putting your schooling first. I think it was the end of my junior year, I took my first MCAT. I did a different, I guess you could say a cocktail of studies. I used Exam Cracker, I used Kaplan, I used the AMC. I would say 1000% AMC's materials are the most important materials of all studying for the MCAT. That's how I feel. I feel like, because they write the test. Literally, AMC writes the test. So what better way to prepare for this MCAT than the people who write the test? So definitely, I think that the thing that helped boost my score the most while I was just taking practice tests and studying was going through AMC's practice tests, going through their question banks. It's worth it. I think it was like I think you can get the whole thing for maybe like $300-400 or something like that for like the questions and stuff. But
we'll link that in the comments below.
But it's worth it. It is worth it.
There are flashcards. Say you have flashcards. If you're a flashcard person,
it's worth it.
It's worth it.
But I would definitely say making sure when you do your MCAT, making sure that you set aside at least like 6 months. Definitely a good 6 months. I would say the first beginning of my MCAT, I was more focused on making sure I have good basic book knowledge all around. And then sort of like my 3 months forward, I was focusing on mainly taking practice tests and answering questions. Answer as many questions as you can, because the more questions you get, let's just say for example, I could read a book. I could read a book or a section in a book that's 30 pages, and it may go over maybe 4 or 5 topics. But if I go and I use that same amount of time, let's say it took me 2 hours to do that, but I use that 2 hours to go answer questions of say 40 questions, and those 40 questions goes over 23 topics, you're better off doing the 40 questions. I mean, because you'll get a better idea of what your weak points are for your test. After I graduated, one thing I did do is I somewhat kept in contact with my professors. Most of my professors, I would say, that helped me, most of them actually came from my upper level courses, my upper level science courses. And there also was professors that I actually liked them teaching me. So I would say definitely don't just find any professor. The 2 professors I actually have, right, those recommendation for me. I actually like their teaching style. I actually took their class. I think I took 2 or maybe 3 classes of each of them. It might have been 2. But I definitely took their class more than just one time. I didn't just take their class one time and I was like, oh, hey, right. Like, no, I took their class. And then after that, I took it again because I was like, wow, they actually make learning this easy. Professors a lot of your letters of recommendation. Don't just be looking for any professor. You need to find one that you actually learn very well from them. That you actually can say they actually changed my life. They actually highly improved my academic career. And like I said, just keeping in contact. My first year, I didn't really do a bunch of, my first year out of college, I didn't do a bunch of like strong, like increasing application out in the field. But besides my MCAT, I studied for the MCAT and retook it. I guess you could say that's kind of big, but I did more so. I think I was working as a lab tech, so I wasn't getting a lot of medical experience during that first year. It was really my second and third year that I feel like my medical experience like really significantly changed, because that's when I started volunteering as a volunteer firefighter. I started working at the American Red Cross. I did an internship as a QA a specialist. I was a scientist for this one pharmaceutical company. I did the MED program. Like, there's so many different things that I did after my first year actually that I feel like made a huge impact and strengthened my focus to become a physician. Was doing the MED program, volunteering as a firefighter, working as a phlebotomist with Red Cross. Just those different things that I did. And like I said, my first year out, I just kind of focused on retaking my MCAT. So I definitely didn't put it all at one time. I just kind of just tried to basically keep things kind of structured in a way so that, okay, all right, I did this, now let's see what else. Okay, I think I would like to do this as well, Reason why I was a phlebotomist was I said, hey, I'm about to go and make a whole career out of helping people and healing. I'm going to be around blood. How do I actually feel around needles and blood? I mean, before you go and spend all that time going to school, you don't want to get your first day in medical school, I feel, and you say, oh my gosh, I can't do this. So I went and did that, and I found out I was just fine. It was no problem. I was fine. So that was good. MED program, we dissected a cadaver, and I actually enjoyed it. You know, I really enjoyed it. So I would say just those little things help strengthen my focus to become a doctor and help me combat imposter syndrome, or do I really want to do this? Those couple years out of college definitely were needed.
So my background, I also went to ECU. Unlike my husband, I went the public health route, so I wasn't a science major. So it is possible to get into medical school without being a biology or chemistry or some form of science major. Go and study what you love. My husband actually loves biology. He loves it. So that's why he was a biology major. If he loved math, I think he would have done math. If he loved, what's the other stuff you love? I don't know. If he loved something else, he would have done that. Like, I know for a fact you do not have to be a science major to get into medical school. However, I will preface this. He did take a lot of upper level sciences, and so there were some times where I couldn't understand things, and he was able to explain it to me because he took those upper level science courses. So with what I said, make the best decision for you. However, I went the public health route. That's not science-based at all. If you take public health classes, you would understand what I'm talking about. I love public health so much that I went and also got a master's. So let's go back to undergrad. So in undergrad, similar to him, I was an RA. I was also a chemistry chemistry tutor. I worked with the underserved students as well. It's something that we kind of bonded over. We have a lot of similar likes. I was a part of I did a religious organization I was a part of when I was at ECU. I was the president of Circle K. I was a part of AMSA, MAPS. I was a part of a lot of different organizations. Did a lot of shadowing. Did the same shadowing program he did. I did a lot of volunteering. Did absolutely zero volunteering with a hospital during undergrad. Did not volunteer at all in any type of medical capacity at all. I did shadow, but I did not volunteer. I did not volunteer at all outside of college in a medical capacity. I did what I wanted to do. I volunteered and worked in my community the way I wanted to do it and the way that I could do it.
That's right.
I did join an organization as well. I'm a member of Sigma Gamma Rho Sorority Incorporated. And so that also fosters an environment for serving. So I did a lot of serving in underserved areas. Even during COVID, we went out and we did a lot of service for the homeless population that was hit very hard when COVID came to. So a lot of mine was service. And so because I knew that all I did was really shadow and all my service opportunities was not medically based, as soon as I graduated, I was like, I need to get some clinical experience to show that I actually can do what I say I want to do, because I wasn't doing it. I also had to retake the MCAT. I'm going to be honest, I took it 3 times. He didn't have to do that, but I did. I used Kaplan, Princeton, and Exam Crackers as well, along with AMC, and I did get a question book. It was a next step question book, but the reason why I got it is because it was like 1,000 or 10,000 questions, and I wanted to get through more questions because I started to see that my score increased with the amount of exposure to questions. What I would say, what I did wrong, and the reason why you should not follow what I did and take the MCAT 3 times, is that, yeah, I did as many questions as possible because that's what people say, but I don't think I reviewed the questions that I got wrong and that I got right properly. Even if you take these exam questions and you're reviewing when you review it, you need to be reviewing everything that you did. Did you get it right because you were unsure and you guessed right? Did you get it right because you actually understood it? Or did you get it right because you thought a certain way but it was the wrong way of thinking? You need to know that. So you need to be reviewing every single question that you actually took. I know a lot of times people say, oh yeah, you need to review what you got wrong. You need to be reviewing every single question that you come through, because you need to know why your answer is right and why everything else is wrong. And so because of my experience with studying for the MCAT and how I did increase my score 10 points, so that's very unheard of. And I'm actually gonna have an interview with one of our classmates who increased his MCAT even more than that, and he increased it to well above 500 after having to retake it. And so I'm gonna have him talk about his experience as well. Don't let people get you down if you take the MCAT and you get a very low score. Or a lower, when I say low score, less than 500, don't let that hurt your feelings or make you feel bad or think you can't do it, like, oh, maybe I shouldn't do this. You can increase your score. I increased my score 10 points, okay? So it's possible to increase your score more than 1 or 2 points or 3 points or whatever the number is. I heard 5, you can do 10, you can do 20. I'm telling you, I know for a fact, okay? So like I said, I had to retake the MCAT. Because I took the MCAT so many times, and because I love public health, I was like, maybe medicine might not be what I need to do. So I went and got my master's in public health. It was something I really enjoyed. It was something I looked at it like this. It was an investment into my future. It was a backup plan if doctor wasn't a thing, but also with having an MPH, and you can ask any doctor, I promise you they're going to tell you this, having an MPH is going to open so many doors for you as a resident and as a physician. So that's why I said, okay, it's a win-win getting my master's in public health, plus I love it. And then while doing my master's, I did work. I don't know why I'm crazy, and I'm not doing this with med school. I refuse to work.
You're not working
because I've been working through school my whole life, and it's not fun. And I still get good grades, but it's not fun. I worked in a dialysis clinic. The reason why I decided to work in dialysis was, one, like I said, I didn't do a lot of volunteering in a medical capacity like my husband did. So I needed to show, not just because I shadow doctors, that's why I want to do it. I wanted to show that I can also take care of patients. And I'm telling you, it does come up a lot in interviews. I was able to talk about my experiences a lot. So, 2, in dialysis, you have a lot of autonomy. As a dialysis tech, I was able to take weights. I was taking blood pressures. I was monitoring patients. I was forming notes. I was pushing meds. And when I say meds, it's really just like saline and heparin, but that's still pushing meds. That's more meds than most other people who get hands-on experience can push. And I was sticking patients. So I was taking labs. I was doing a lot of things. Yeah, it sounds more nursey, but it was still, I was getting that hands-on experience, and I knew that not only can I take care of a patient, but I can monitor a patient and I can communicate to another healthcare professional about what my patient needs after talking to them. Because sometimes you got to talk to your patient to make sure, like, hey, like, what's going on? How are you feeling? So that I can be prepared for their treatment. So that's why I really love that job. After I graduated with my master's, I did, want to start making a little bit more money, because these healthcare jobs, prior to being like licensed, you don't get paid much with a certificate. So I wanted to start making more money. I had over 1,000 hours of patient care experience, over 2 years of patient care experience. At one point, I was even wiping old people's butts too, to get some other hands-on experience working with difficult patients. So after I did all that, I said, I know I still want to be a doctor. I know I don't want to be a nurse after doing dialysis. I know that I want to be a doctor. So I decided to get more in the public health realm, just to start working on that, just in case medicine wasn't going to be an option for me. The job that I did, I was able to work with physicians and on the healthcare policy side, the Medicaid insurance side. So I got to see the back end of what it was like to be a physician, how to document, why you document certain ways, HCPCS codes, CPT codes, all that great things. And it really helped to solidify what type of physician I want to be. And so that's my journey to medicine. My last question for you, Anthony, is would you do anything different? Why or why not? And before getting into med school, like, were you regretting your choice of trying to do medicine?
All right, so hold on, because I'm not good with 1,000 questions at one time. So let's go back to the first part.
So would you have done anything
different?
Why or why not?
Would I done anything different? No, I don't think I would have. I don't think I would have done anything different. Reason why I say that, because I got to my destination, my goal, And I mean, I learned a lot, grew a lot, and yeah, I think everything worked out fine. I don't regret anything. So no, I wouldn't have done anything different. Yeah.
Okay, and then my other question is, would you do it again?
Yeah, I'll do it again.
You would?
Yeah.
Okay, I'm gonna ask the same question when we graduate in 4 years. Okay. The only thing I would change, which is what I've already said, is when studying for the MCAT, actually reviewing the questions properly. Not only questions I got wrong, but what I got right to make sure my thinking was proper. That is essential. And would I do it again? Absolutely. I will tell you, I was, for the longest, I was telling him, I was like, I might just need to go to PA school or go to nursing school and do the nurse practitioner thing, because I want to work as a PCP. And it was like, no, you need to do what you want to do. So I hope this is helpful, right?
Do you have a last question? I thought
That was the last question.
Yeah.
I said this is the last question.
I thought that last.
Is there
question had,
anything
like,
you think I need to add to this video?
3 different parts to it. I
No,
thought it was like 3 parts.
It was, would you have done anything different? Why or why not? So that's 2 parts. And then the last part was, do you regret? Oh, would you do it again?
All right. Thank you for joining us today. This concludes our interview.
And we will see you next week.